bans before, same 4 bans. The Tristana and Gnar swapped orders, but otherwise it's the same stuff so far. So ban phase, you don't expect a lot of adaptations. You come in saying this is what we fear. I don't think you see a first round Kennen ban, for example, but I have to wait to see what comes through into this. Is FlyQuest. Last time they got rid of Gragas. Might do it again.
Yeah, and I'm looking specifically at that 1, 2, 3 for FlyQuest. The Jarvan, the Galio, and the Rakan. The Jarvan and the Galio are the most important parts of that. And that last ban that CLG had in the Cho'Gath is the one that's changing, right? So they're getting rid of the Jarvan-Galio combo with the Galio.
Yeah, so Jarvan's still picked up. That's not a surprise. It's a very common first pick, kind of worldwide in this patch, so totally fine here for this one. FlyQuest, of course, can still flex that top or jungle, so it's more frequently jungle for Moon. Still wait to be seen. But it means that CLG, knowing this, get to pick Cho'Gath themselves. Yep. They didn't want to pick a Galio anyway, so we'll see what comes alongside that. Do they grab the Kog'Maw that was stolen away earlier on? Last time around, they had picked Thresh to go alongside a Sejuani if they're rush picking their jungler. I don't think they necessarily need to. They're going to go for that same Thresh, though. Yeah,
and this is interesting, right? Because they're basically saying that they did not think Elimination's Rakan was a problem, because Aphromoo can play Rakan. It is probably the highest priority support globally on this patch, but Thresh is one of the things you can't pick into it. No surprise that FlyQuest is going to pick it in this next second or third pick.
So yeah, Rakan like to be grabbed. They know it's going to join the composition, so now the question is, do you still blind pick a random mid laner for high, or do you go somewhere else in this one? Do you lock that Jarvan into one of the roles and pick the other? Wait to see. We know High plays lots of Corki. The Orianna, though it got nerfed, still playable, of course. Played a Syndra game yesterday. Shen is going to go into the top lane, so looking to still grab a lot of hard engage on this first phase.
Yeah, so they do neither, actually. They don't pick the mid laner or the bottom lane, but they do pick where they know they have the lane already shown from CLG, so they're Shen into the Cho'Gath. This is an interesting matchup where the Cho'Gath, I think, definitely does win early, but the Shen has the chance to get something back later on in the laning phase once he has his Hydra and some magic resist. So not a crazy pick for FlyQuest. Still enables a lot of their playmaking. Rakan can fly in, Shen can back it up. I mean, it's kind of just different variations of the same story for FlyQuest, is picking all the initiation that can go in and then working with your shot calling and engage sense.
Now it does change who carries. I thought Bald had a really, really strong high damage carry performance game in the first one. He's of course now on Shen. Shen can carry, but not in the same way by any means. That flash double kill on a turret, not likely to happen quite so much. So different looks here for sure. I want to see if High can do the same kind of stuff that Balls did. Turtle, of course, not going to get his Twitch. We'll see what other champion he gets. And again, CLG gets priority on this phase. Do they grab the Illusionist steal from High? Do they grab the Kog'Maw that FlyQuest had banned before? Wait to be seen.
Yeah, I think, at least from an order perspective, CLG will pick AD carry with their 4th pick and then get Huhi's counterpick with their 5th. And now they're just trying to ban out High. High did make a comment yesterday in the post-game interview about this meta suiting him better than the summer split meta, which is a little perplexing because there's a lot of the same champions being played. He played a ton of Orianna and Corki in the summer split when they were losing a fair bit. Those champions still up, so I'm really curious to see what he goes with, since all we've seen from him so far in the regional qualifier have been Syndra and Galio, and both those champions are now banned.
Well, wait till we see what comes into this one. Ezreal, the early hover. Now, we'd seen some priority towards Ezreal jungle, but with Sejuani grab, it's unlikely. Ashe instead going to be picked up, so going for utility in the bot lane. And honestly, CLG are scarce on damage right now. Ashe can team fight well, but with a Shen, Rakan, and Jarvan all scaring you, it's unsafe to play Ashe very easily. It's not going to be the easiest game for 60 to get damage output in, so a lot of this goes to Huhi, and what he wants to pick, as he's received only 1 ban from FlyQuest this entire draft.
Yeah. Very interesting here. Locking the Sivir first, that helps against strong, or like balled up teams, so to speak, which CLG is fairly much there.
Yeah, triple melee.
Here we go. Do they go with the double marksman team? Does he go with the Orianna or the Corki? Or does High have something new? Remember, Cassiopeia still exists. It's a champion that is pretty much the highest priority mid laner for everyone, but neither of these guys prioritizing it.
3 seconds to go. What does High want to play? Kennen going to be picked up again. So the question is the Jarvan flexing to mid for whatever random reason, or is it going to be Kennen in the mid lane? Hai has played Jarvan mid before, which is why it's not completely outlandish to say so.
And he's played Kennen mid, right?
Sure,
Two things that we almost never see, but now we will see. So the answer to the question, does he go Ori, Corki, or something new?
Something new.
Something new, for sure. And this is one of the things they get to
Aurelion
happen. Then we get a soul.
All right. This is going to be a fun one then. Utility and damage output in one package is going to be fun, draconic. All right. Well, with the Shen picked up, there's actually, I don't know why Avon was so concerned about that. Of course, Vols is going to be playing Shen in the top lane, so the Kennen has to go to Hai. I'm a little silly on that one. I apologize for missing that one earlier on. Yeah, Shen mid seems even less likely than Fiora and Galio, to be honest. So Hai going to bring out the Kennen. The question now is who plays it better? And we're going to see, yeah, Kennen in all kinds of fun roles. Seen him support before as well, so yeah, definitely can do it. But Hai going to bring out what Vols had done so well with in game one. Off the Galio, onto the Kennen, and Aurelion Soul for Huhi.
Yeah, and these games are so fun because these are two mid laners who subscribe to their own meta.
Yep.
And one of the advantages, I feel like, for Huhi on Aurelion Soul is so few people play it that only he knows the matchups, right? He knows how it works into all of the meta mids. But does he know how it works into Kennen, right? Because now you have the same thing with Hai, assuming he's put a lot of practice into this Kennen, which I assume he has in the over 1 month of dark practice time FlyQuest has had. So a lot to be revealed in game 2 here.
I can virtually promise you that these players have played this matchup less than 5 times. You can count the number of times they've had a matchup on one hand, and one of those is today. So who understands the intricacies better? Who even knows? Game 2 ready to go, though. FlyQuest bringing out Kennen mid. Counter logic game and bringing out Huhi's Aurelion Soul. Who is it going to be to face Cloud9 tomorrow? Best of 5. FlyQuest took the first one in pretty convincing fashion. 30-minute win. Control most of the way through. Very different drafts here in this one. We'll see what comes in.
Yeah, last game, the early game, actually did go a little bit in favor of CLG. Omar God was able to get the first blood in the mid lane. That will be pretty huge this game. I think unlocking the Aurelion Soul to roam the side lanes is better than getting the Fiora that first kill. So we'll have to track if anything changes in that early game.
Interesting to see a Doran's shield start. Sorry, Doran's ring start. I misspeak for Darshan in the top lane. Extra mana regen, as now all of Cho'Gath's abilities cost mana. It's pretty reasonable to do so. Shouldn't be harassed too hard by the Shen, so shouldn't need the extra regen for health that a Doran's shield would give. Balls, though, is in that point. Also of note, actually, is Omar God does have a talisman, whereas he had gone for a machete in the first game, which makes me think he's going to do a Raptor start as opposed to a red buff.
Yeah, or at least be doing Raptors on his first clear. Because if you're going, that actually is very telling for the Sejuani start. If he's going the single target camps, then he's almost always going to be going with the machete, but the talisman gives you so many bonuses out of the Raptors.
Yeah, looks to be a red leash still from Darshan, but you're right, Raptors might come in next one to this one. CLG looking for a 2-man invade to stop this red buff leash. It's actually not a super leash this time by FlyQuest. I think they expected it might have been. I don't think they have deep wards, but it's actually a very conventional red buff start. And Moon with the less greedy pathing, gonna get the same kind of pull Omar God did.
Yeah, I think they could have done a super leash, but they warded the tri-brush and saw CLG were going to disrupt it anyway, so that made them have to start red. That starts off the junglers on fairly equal footing, and now we'll get to see Omar, as predicted, going straight for Raptors. That aggression at level 1, though.
Play exhaust on a Turtle means lots of damage as well. They just don't have the same trading power, and Turtle running out of a lot of HP. Now he's going to have the gumption to not go for the flash. Stun comes in onto Huhi, and he's not going to live through this one. First blood comes through onto Moon at level 2 for him. Level 1 for Hai, just now leveling up.
And no summoner spells burned by either mid laner except for the Ignite for Hai. But as far as flashes are concerned, they both still have flash, so that's not the way you want to start the Aurelion Soul, and a heady gank there by Moon, understanding the way Huhi at least plays his A-Soul at the start of the game.
And he was playing it slow. He wasn't using W. He was last hitting passively, and Moon still goes for it. Like, you can see he's playing far back. He knows the threat of this, and he still gets jumped by the EQ flash.
Gets a little aggressive there.
Yeah,
and then
finally found an aggressive
flash.
That's perfect.
Perfect timing. Huhi does not flash it. Also knows that Hai would be able to follow with flash, so would rather have it up for later.
Yeah. And he gets cut.
We got another fight.
This is a pretty good match here. This one, Omar got looking for the trade back in, but he's running out of health and dies yet again. He's got as many deaths as minion kills at this point. Now Omar got running away. Not yet to be stunned by the cannon, but oof.
What a start for Moon. 2 CS, 2 champion kills.
Yep.
3 CS now. Soon to beat 10.
He killed red buff, then ganked, then blue buff, then ganked. And he's now killing this one out. And you know, Jack, we talked about the matchup, right? How many people have seen Kenna vs. Aurelion Sol? Maybe 3. Now, you know, the tens of thousands watching this game. But it's so easy for Hai to get away from the stun. There is a mandatory lockout on reactivating the Aurelion Sol Q. You cannot do a melee range stun. And Hai just jumps into that range, goes, you don't have a Q, lands his full combo on him and gets the setup every time.
Has been super effective for them early. Who he really wants to play around bottom lane. And that's all he's been trying to do right there. That's why he got the control ward, but when placing that control ward, the fight happened. Now trying to clear out vision in the jungle. The plan remains the same, but they are playing from a pretty big deficit now.
Yeah, they are. 1,300 gold lead, and Moon, ooh,
wow.
The ward times out. It's likely to have been timed. He's still waiting around.
Yeah, he has so much gold and hasn't chopped yet. He can go build up towards that Cinder Hulk. Actually opts for a different choice here. No Bomb Cinder. Likely meaning he's going to be invading and ganking more instead of trying to fast clear his jungle, which would be the reason to go for the Bomb Cinder, really.
Let's see what the plan is. Right now he's walking up the mid lane. And then cuts a little bit of the corner. He's going to put some wards down first to help track what Omar God's ganks would be. Of course, Hai does not have flash right now, so he's gankable. And he's actually going to end up spotting Omar God, who puts his own ward down. But there's a Boots and Ruby Crystal, an advantage for Moon, of course. Those ganks paying for those items pretty handily. And gets the cannon. All right, that was crucial. He needed that money, and Hai just gets rid of those wards that were just put down. FlyQuest's got to feel pretty good about all of this so far. Omar God gets some of this camp, and Moon takes away 2 of the small rafters.
Yeah, and this is super worrying for CLG, at least with the way the early game is played out, because we already talked about how they have a pretty low damage profile. And oftentimes the way they're trying to play this team composition is just roam around the map, take over, and win around 30 minutes. Losing that mid lane pressure now, with Hai doubling his CS, and having control ward coverage on the left side, really unlocks the map for FlyQuest, who also have the better late game.
Nice shot. Actually predicts the juke and lands the stun, turns off Uhi's W. You can see if Hai's coming from too long away, you can land that stun out of Aurelion Sol, but still things to watch out for. Looking out the top lane, a momentarily but short-lived farm lead for Darshan, as Ball's going to catch this wave pretty easily. Nice cannon pick up there for Darshan. And out he goes.
Yeah, and just some fun facts on Huhi's Aurelion Sol this year. It is the most received ban for CLG. It's actually banned against them in 66% of their games this year. In the summer split, he's 3-0. On the year, he's 8-1 on it, with only losing to Team Liquid and Golden Glue in one game.
Oh boy.
If you can believe it. But other than that, he is absolutely crushed on this pick, only really bringing it out when he deems it is a good situation. So the fact that this has gone awry early is very abnormal for CLG.
This guy's beaten, what, SKT with this champion, right? Like, this guy is really good at this one, and right now off 0-2, off some really good plays out of Moon and Hai. Those guys have done great for themselves. Thing is, that used to be the combo way back when FlyQuest was this top-tier North American team when they were challenging for first back in spring. It was the Hai-Moon combo. These two were doing great things, and the summer was entirely lackluster, and now we're in practically the fall split, as you mentioned, the more than a month off that FlyQuest had. Practically are into autumn itself, and we'll see if they can make this one happen now. Is 2-0 up, would be 2 up, hoping to be 2 up in the series if they can close this one out. Wild Turtle doing just fine in his lane. Ball's winning, and Hai, of course, the same. So leads everywhere, keeping the push going.
Yeah, so a fairly significant lead by FlyQuest, 2,000 gold at 7 minutes and 30 seconds. But as you mentioned, the game has slowed down a fair bit. You're wondering where FlyQuest will choose to go, because they're the ones that have the playmaking right. They have the Shen ultimate. He can join. Hai does not have teleport, interestingly enough. Remember the Ignite for those early game fights they had in the mid lane. Not looking for 1-3-1, but doubling Huhi CS in that mid lane still at 8 minutes.
really, really great stuff out of this squad right now. And looking for a blue buff steal as well, as Moon's leading the charge on that. His own red helps him kill it faster, and looks like no contest. Afro not there in time, even a ward to spot him do it. And he goes, our blue's gone, guys. Sorry, Moon was here. The Eclipse didn't slow him down to the slightest. He's gonna be just fine. Let's see as the chase keeps going in. Now, Sejuani wants into the top lane, but again, Ball's really good at sussing out when he might be under pressure. Never really gankable. Oh my god, hoping to maybe trade blue buff steals. Sees Moon and goes, you're right, my bottom 2 levels down. Not 2 levels down, just weaker.
Yeah, but his mid lane has no pressure, is the problem. His mid lane is 2 levels down. So, yes, he does see the blue buff, but Moon's so ahead of the game here.
Yep, just ganking better, getting his lanes ahead, and that's what it comes down to, the role of a jungler. It's interesting, all the comments and concerns I've seen online about catch-up experience into junglers. If you farm camp while under-leveled, you'll catch up in XP, but even if you are spending your time ganking, you get your lanes ahead, and High is hashing that advantage in basically wave over wave, constantly pushing around Huhi, getting the farm advantage, getting the level advantage. And now Elimination's here to join the party. Flashes, summoner spells up available on all sides.
Yeah, I mean, you catch up in XP, but you don't catch up in gold,
yeah.
Which is pretty important in League of Legends, turns out. But you can think that FlyQuest is waiting for the counter gank right here. Both bottom lanes have gone missing. So Afromu and Elimination both have the same idea. Go mid lane. CLG not going over aggressive, which is what FlyQuest was banking on. There's still the chance that FlyQuest could consider a dive, but they decide against it.
Yeah, and I like the way Afro was playing this counter gank. I don't think he was playing it to fight. He was playing to Lantern Huhi over the wall if the 3-man dive comes in. Almost certainly he'd have enough time to click the Lantern and get away with it.
They're still going to go for it.
Now they're going to try, so Omar got to look for the stun across the wall. A bit of damage coming across, and how good is the trade going to be? Elimination going to get chased in, gets a Shen ulti. That means Huhi has to back off, so now High is the target. Going to be stunned, not quite in turret range, but will still fall. Meanwhile, Darshan actually stopped the teleport out from Balls. Got the shield though, which did save Lemon's life, but a 1-for-0 CLG getting a fight and a kill in the mid lane.
Yeah, and they were waiting for that counter gank and ended up being right about the dive with the positioning of Omar God. What is perplexing is the fact that FlyQuest didn't do it with Moon. He was waiting there for so long, and then they instead decide to gank without him. Then they don't have the damage profile to actually kill Huhi under the turret. As the exhaust really helped reduce the damage coming through. So a failed dive there by FlyQuest.
And we'll see if they get anything else off this one, as Moon's gonna stop the recall of Afromu. You can walk back to base with your boots 1.
Yeah, watch this one more time. Omar God has been here for a while.
I think they saw Afro walk over a ward by his blue buff, which is why they went.
Yeah, the ult comes through as well as the exhaust onto High, so they can't get any auto attacks off while they're stunned by the Sejuani. Then they get 4 autos off to proc the permafrost stun, and that enables the kill to come through. Missed flash play by Afromu right at the end.
Yeah.
Could have really turned the table, but they're going to take the kill instead.
At least they get the ball ulti down to save the life, but FlyQuest still with priority on most of the map. Smite auto attack lands in, and the Cloud Drake picked up here for FlyQuest, looking for the TP to really push down bot lane. Of course, the duo in the other side of the map, so CLG versus FlyQuest rushing for first turret gold, and actually this looks to be a bit faster for FlyQuest, even though Counter Logic Gaming were technically first on the play. First turret gold going over courtesy of Wild Turtle, the rest of the squad, as CLG going to be about 20 seconds later on it.
Later to the play, but they brought more people, and now they have a huge tempo advantage, actually, looking to push 2. They get the attack speed from the Jarvan Demacian standard, which will help all 4 of them blow that turret up. This is going to be a 2-for-1 trade, probably.
I mean, at the time, it could be 2-for-0, as 6A is alone fighting a minion wave without a lot of attack. He's actually going for a Ruin King build, which, of course, not nearly as fast as killing minions off. Omar got to take down the Rift Herald without much issue, and the hook is going to stop that recall. Afro being annoying, but yeah, still 2-for-1 on turrets, including first turret gold. Now CLG looking for the next play as they brought down 3 to this side of the map. Ashley not yet shot out by Stixay. Ball's not going to be stunned, but is going to be slowed down, and that could trigger Storm Raiders soon enough. As they're looking to take him with the Flay, the Silence, and that's going to be the kill picked up by the Nom as Darshan gets a kill against his lane opponent. What's Alpha some friends?
Interesting how Balls held on to his flash that whole time. There's a chance he could have escaped, but I'm wondering how much he's relying on that for the next play, being able to taunt flash. Speaking of the extension of the play, though, High roaming up.
Ooh, what a spell shield! Wild Turtle saw it coming. Just in time, gets away with it.
Yeah, that's a pretty telegraphed ultimate there.
Yeah.
Very good for Wild Turtle to not get stunned by it, but pretty optimistic to throw a Sej ult in point-blank range towards the Sivir.
It was thrown from fog, so you only see the projectile.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I'm almost certain there was no wards in that brush.
That makes it a lot better.
It was, I think that was super sick from Wild Turtle. Like, I'm pretty sure we'll get a replay from just Blue Team Fog of War, and that was a tight timing.
Yeah, I gotta say Wild Turtle has been playing extremely well so far the last 2 days. Now they're going for
more,
Stixxay.
and the Stixxay, he flashes and trying to predict. He tried to predict Flash W, but guessed it wrong. Elimination, not quite gonna be traded on. He has enough HP, and Moon walks in and says, hey guys, I'm here too.
Lemon wins the mind game easily. Doesn't even have to burn his flash. Didn't have it even. It's about to come back off cooldown any second.
Fair enough.
But I absolutely think that's what Stixxay would be trying to do. Tries to predict the flash quickness. But you have to wait. You have to wait until Elimination at least starts an animation.
Well, Stixxay guessed wrong, loses the flash and the heal and his life. The heal may be optimistic on that one. He got Elimination to 9 out at least, but top lane now under fire. 3 versus 2 right here, and CLG don't have a lot of damage. Oh my god, not wanting to risk getting dove under this turret. Doesn't want to make someone pull aggro. First out of completion finally done for Huhi, as he got his Hextech GLP, the active slow, but of course FlyQuest so much farther along in the map. 3 turrets to 1, up the Drake, up the kills as well. 3,000 gold lead, and lane pressure absolutely everywhere. FlyQuest not slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah, Ball's even shoving in the Cho'Gath. Watching this one more time. Omar God is in fog, as you mentioned. Boom.
Yeah.
Perfect spell shield, as well as the ultimate. Didn't know how many more people were going to be chasing. And then Stixxay sticks around. Elimination comes from the Tri-Brush. Right here, he's thinking,
I think he expected W.
Yeah.
I think right there it's supposed to be W, not just Flash.
Yeah, I think when Elimination started channeling the quickness, Stixxay thought that was him going for the W, so it's not happening. Now they might go for more. They already have the flash down on Stixxay. Do they all in on this?
Well, looks like no. I'm not going to go for the pull just yet. Most of CLG on this side of the map as well, so things to be watchful of. Balls has ulti, and Darshan does not have TP, so chance of a 5v4 is possible. For a few seconds, anyway. Still winning this side of the river. Control ward battle, won by FlyQuest. Here comes Moon to the play. Here comes the quickness. And the knockup once again going to land, but the Lantern pulls Stixxay. But the Cataclysm, just by chance, keeps on the outside of it. And the first 2 kills come through already. Now Omar got forced to run away from 4. Will survive it, but look at that play out of FlyQuest.
And FlyQuest are absolutely smashing this game. All of their plays are working.
Absolutely all of them.
Especially within the execution of the play, which has been one of the biggest knocks on FlyQuest. Whenever you want to talk down FlyQuest, you talk about how, oh, they lose lanes or they're only making progress because of their teamwork. But the stuff they're doing, the reaction time on Wild Turtle's spell shields, the timing of Moon's Cataclysm, and then on top of that, the fact that they have the numbers advantages on these plays. Even if he doesn't interrupt Stixxay, the fact that he held the Cataclysm to trap Stixxay in it was enough, because that allows him to clean up this play. Meanwhile, you look at CLG, not on the same teamwork level from a map pressure perspective. They are not 4v4, they are 3v4, and they are losing these fights.
And this Moon having an absolutely amazing series in this one. 405 kill participation. Look for the next one. Now this is Darshan. Looks to buy a bit of time. Pops the Righteous Glory, but no fight yet to be had. A little bit of a slow on the Moon, but he is tanky. Of course, he's got that stack of magic as he's slow to die, and forces the flash, gets away with it. That's 1 summoner down for all the pressure of CLG.
CLG doesn't have any damage, Freak. They have the 1 Nom on Cho'Gath that he needs to be in melee range for. They have the Sejuani stun, which does a percentage of health. Huhi is so far behind, he's taking damage. Stixxay just completed Blade of the Ruin King, and Thresh is a low damage support. So when they go on Moon or Balls, they do not kill him. That gives so much time for Wild Turtle to catch up to the fight, get his ricochets going, for High to make it in with an ultimate. The fact that CLG has not snowballed this early game is disastrous, because it gives FlyQuest now so much freedom with the way they play and set up plays.
Looking very good right now. See what else FlyQuest can get. Nice little stab from Elimination. Gets a bit of damage on that. And a 4,000 gold lead keeps FlyQuest ahead. Looking to go 2-0 in the Festive 5. A nice stun. They're going to go for this one as the fight. The hook's going to land. The chain CC is there. Exhaust as well. They have not yet killed High. He gets away with it, but now Elimination forced into the turret. Going to get shot, and that's a big stun on a Moon. And they're not going from just yet. Now turning their attention to that Jarvan, who does not have escape tools. No flash. Has the ulti Exhaust. Going to land, but the first stun is going to miss. Waiting for ZQ to come back from cooldown, but the play going to buy some more time, and the kill comes in. Omar God getting his second of the game, so CLG showing signs of life off those 2 kills.
Yeah, makes the fight long enough, catches FlyQuest in a turret dive mid lane yet again. That's the second time they've turned this around. And still staying in the game, especially if they can pick up this Ocean Drake.
Yeah.
to help them towards late game. Looks like they got it no problem.
Yeah, they'll receive some missing health, missing mana, and they're certainly still missing some gold and kills, but getting back into this one, only 2,000 the deficit. Meaningful still, but less crazy than before as they're going to hope to get back into this game. CLG do not want to have to reverse sweep this one.
Absolutely not. FlyQuest definitely showing up beyond many expectations, but CLG fighting back right here. Chains the Sedge stun into the Aurelion Sol stun. High never gets his ultimate off, has to flash defensively, and then Elimination caught in the turret. Then, it's the second time Moon has messed that up. Essentially, he flag and dragged almost in the middle of the wall, it looked like, and the flag will never spawn in terrain. So the flag moves to the left of the terrain, his Q therefore doesn't connect with it, and he doesn't move. So then they easily walk down the kill onto Moon.
Nicely done there by CLG to get a little bit more as he picks up his next little piece of the gear. Blue buff grabbed for him as he moves towards Riley's Crystal Scepter. You have to imagine for his next item.
Yeah, that seems like the build that he often goes for. Leandry's often his third item as well.
Nice attempt there, and a good juke by Moon all the same. Down some minions. Oh my god, taking more of the camp, and here comes Oh my god, he wants Wild Turtle. And a good flash gets away before the silence can land, because if that silence hits, he's probably dead.
Yeah, mid lane priority, though. CLG decides to group up and force FlyQuest to flank them. They see high top lane. They know that's not a teleporting cannon. They're going to easily take this turret, and the question is, when do they stop? Because High is not called off this play.
Yeah, they've got to turn back around. High going to get some damage, but he knows the other team is chasing him, and without TP, he's going to have to recall, and that is 8 seconds he's going to have. So he's able to deny part of a minion wave, get a couple hundred damage to the turret, and stop the rest of that push out of Counter Logic Gaming. They know he's gone 6. They didn't want to go for the arrow into Fog.
Yeah,
after going to land him for gold.
Hawk shots for safety as well. Knows it's clear. It's really difficult to split push against who he's Aurelion Sol, because he'll always turn something into a 2v1 if you're trying to create strong split push pressure. But COD's sticking around here. The early game was disastrous. The fact that he had those 2 early deaths and the fact that Moon got off to such a good start.
Almost finds the knockup, doesn't though, and now he has a bit of free time, knowing he's not under as much threat to knock the minions down, but still going to be enough as one final attack from High knocks down mid, outer 4 to 3 in turrets. FlyQuest still holding on to a lead with that nice play into the mid lane off the reset.
Yeah, game now in a bit of a reset state.
Yeah.
Just because of CLG's playmaking while FlyQuest was attempting to make mid-turret. They finally kind of fight back with that mid-lane second-tier turret as well. Starting to hit some rather important item breakpoints as well. The Warmogs being on Omar. Blade of the Ruin King plus some more attack speed for Stixxay definitely help out.
Yep.
Just waiting for FlyQuest to pull off another one of those initiations because they have so many tools to fight.
Yeah. Every single one has a team fight focused R button there. Looking for the play again. Wild Turtle gonna be slowed. Ooh, not gonna land the stun. Not quite the arrow either. Had the spell shield for it anyway. Good escape by Turtle. Only losing the R button. Not too bad.
Yeah. The more COD can do that, though, the more they can desync FlyQuest initiation. Going for a kill.
And I don't think he has a way out of this one. The hook's gonna land as well. The shot's gonna come through. Darshan getting his second kill of the game. Stacks up a bit bigger on the Cho'Gath. The repeat attempt gonna land.
And FlyQuest isn't grouping, which is really confusing to me. Darshan able to run down Wild Turtle, who is flashless, and COG make back-to-back plays. They're going to go right for this. Balls does not have ult, but he does have teleport. Uses it now. Right. This should be a big fight.
Onto the back of the pit, 5v4, no Turtle, no marksman to be had. And of course, no chomp right now for Darshan, so it would be a slight fight if they went for it. Ulti not quite going to land for the stun, but here comes Elimination. Doesn't go for much though, that's Ulti down. Gonna buy some more time. Sal's not gonna land, but here comes the re-engage. Oh my god, once into this one. Ulti's not a lot available for CLG, just pretty much Afro moves. Gonna buy some time as they hit Moon a little bit, but they can't chase through any farther, so the attempt doesn't mean much.
And really, yeah, really well played by FlyQuest there to prevent the Baron without getting caught in the 5v5 fight. Very clear move to disengage, and they do it quite well as the Sejal not quite able to land true. Now they're the ones starting Baron. They have the controller. They're trying to sneak this.
They are trying to, but Hawkshot's gonna see it. It's pretty low opportunity.
High's waiting for the engage. He has flash and all.
Waiting for the side swipe here. After's gonna spot him. No, actually not quite. I think he wasn't spotted, but here comes the TP in. Darshan gonna look at the mix. Here's a chase into the back. They're gonna look for Afro. They get one. Thresh is dead. Now the re-engage coming across. They're probably taking a lot of damage from Aurelion Soul, and Stix safe in the back line. Darshan picks up Moon. 1-for-1 stun's gonna land as this Bellsman is already popped, and that's gonna be a dead Sivir. The re-engage towards High, and Stix knocking him down with the arrows into the back of the head. And now Ball forced to run taunts away, gets away with his life, but it's a 4 versus 2 on the map. CLG have control with their jungler alive. That could mean Baron thanks to Ocean Drake.
What a game. That seemed like such a good idea by High and FlyQuest to have the Kennen flanked, and he gets a beautiful ultimate off, but there's double exhaust on CLG. The ult damage on AP Kennen doesn't come through as fast as it used to, so the exhaust stops most of the damage. Darshan is crushing now on Cho'Gath, gets another feast execute, the 4th non-minion execute of the game for him, so he's going to be massive on Cho'Gath because he's going to be at least 10 once he just gets minions, and CLG now with a lead.
Doing really big things in this one. I love the double Warmogs actually by CLG. It gives them so much more uptime on the map. Their 2 tanks can lose all their health and in under a minute be back full HP, but just by walking around on the river. I mean, it's going to be under 20 seconds to be honest. And they're always healthy, ready to go for the next play. CLG able to consistently play with pressure. I do like the choice. Easy blue buff going to go over to this Aurelion Souls, who he's going to stay up and up. And actually, it's a Banshee's Veil's second item. Building again for the durability to withstand all the engaged tools. CLG sitting on a gold lead for pretty much the first time all game.
Yeah, that was such a critical fight. Again for CLG, they're just having to win fight after fight to stay in this one and prevent going down 2-0 against FlyQuest. But you'd have to say the momentum is back for them right now. High burned everything in the last fight. You got to see how ready CLG was with the exhaust, you would think. We'll have to see this one more time. FlyQuest ready to peel for this fight. They're not actually taking that much damage from Baron. High flashes over the hook, but eaten by an exhaust pretty early on. Then they took so much damage from the Aurelion Sol right in the middle of that fight. Darshan and Omar just walked down the Sivir, able to just easily finish him off. And at that point, the ricochet damage never comes through. It doesn't go beyond the front line.
And they split up well. Stix flashed very early away from High to only get tagged, I think, once by RW, and that was it. Got away with it. Close fight here into this one. And now CLG up 1,000 gold. They've got the Baron buff on. Bot lane going to fall first. Let's see what else they have set their sights upon, how big their Baron power play could be. 2 minutes left into this one as they're looking for next bot lane tier 2.
Shen is top lane. CLG have succeeded here by being the ones to force the 5v5 fights, even though that has been FlyQuest's bread and butter throughout this regional qualifier during their 4-game winning streak here. But CLG with Baron buff just powering through, and Balls just doesn't want to join with his ultimate until a fight breaks out, but that gives CLG all the impetus to engage.
They've got to guess right. They've got to make sure they pick the right amount of fights to go for, as Balls actually not going to ult across the map. He's going to recall instead to join the fight from the front lines. Maybe a more durable engager on this one, as Balls, I believe, did have the ult the whole time, but wants to sit with the team, doesn't want to get engaged upon too quickly. And that's going to give away the pressure in that top lane. Could have been hitting the turret this whole time, doesn't want to. CLG now going to go for the next play onto this turret. A couple auto attacks going to land. Stun not quite going to find Elimination. That is one ult down with a hook in Moon for a bit of damage. Nomar got down to half HP, but again, give him next wave. He's full HP with Warmogs.
Exactly. Warmog's Ocean Drake heals up very fast. What he does not get back that quickly is his Glacial Prison, the ult that missed. That's now 65 seconds from being back up again. But like you said, health goes tick, tick, tick. Warmogs is awesome in these situations, and they're going to continue the siege.
That's pretty much what looks for Wild Turtle. He's got the double Zeal item. He's definitely really big. If he gets the time to do it, it's going to be Elimination forced to kite away, though. He was afraid of getting caught. Shot, rather, by the arrow. No kills to be had. That's now 2 ults missing for Counterlogic Gaming. That might just signal the retreat. 20 seconds left on the Baron buff. Means they really only got bot lane tier 1 and tier 2. No kills. The reset off that Baron. Yeah,
really big wave clear by Wild Turtle as well. Unless CLG was willing to go all in on that initiation, but they're not going to be able to do that unless they land one of their skill shot engages. So hold successful for FlyQuest. Still do not have that gold that they used to, though, from a lead perspective. And like you said, a lot of this is about Wild Turtle. Can he stay safe, or can CLG find a way of just mobbing towards him with that tank line? It's going to take him forever to kill Cho'Gath. The Gargoyle Stonebait's completed. Wild Turtle doesn't have a Last Whisper. Who's going to shred that Cho?
No one's going to shred the show, that's for sure. It's going to take way too long. There's theoretically the chance that Hai gets onto the back line. He kills off Stixay, who is just for a few seconds still flashless, but it's almost back up. Problem is, with a locket on the Sejuani, makes it harder to do anything. A locket also on Aphromoo.
Yeah, and double exhaust. It's really hard for him to get an effective flank.
Yep, but that would be the only other option, really, because I don't think frontline to frontline CLG loses the fight without a catastrophic misplay, and I stun, but it's going to mean the hook as well, but still no kill. So you don't want to die off the turret. I'm surprised Omar even pressed R, because it doesn't seem like that's the strategy right now for CLG. Mini wave gets cleared, and Ball's still split pushing. I guess that's the other option if CLG flubs the macro play. Darshan right now isn't matching Balls. He's going to recall, or who he will. Darshan the same.
Yeah, I do think it is pretty hard for CLG to actually turret dive, though. We've talked about their lower damage profile. At least their damage takes a very long time to apply. It's very sustained throughout the fight, especially for Huhi. So hard for them to siege, just generally speaking, especially against the wave clear of a Sivir. So Infernal Drake up in 150, Baron up in 2. That's definitely where the next fight's going to be breaking out, unless we see a crazy pick orchestrated by FlyQuest.
No, Stixay, as you mentioned, low damage profile, still yet to build his Infinity Edge, so certainly only good at pushing down tanks, and only if they have high health pools. As I mentioned before, Wild Turtle has his 80% crit build. Interestingly, not going for the high CDR Sivir build. Personally, not a fan because W is such a good steroid. You actually want that up more often, but it does power spike earlier, since you're not sitting without the crit damage for so long. Either way, he's going to be a threat. That's the thing to really point out here. He's got enough for a Giant Slayer or a Last Whisper, so his tank shred he's going to be joining into the mix soon. Doesn't seem to need lifesteal. I wouldn't get it if I were him. I think he's got to find a way to rush down the Sejuani or something.
He has Warlords as well as an Ardent Sensor that'll have to do.
Yeah.
I think the full build will be a Last Whisper and an Essence Reaver, you would hope.
Yeah, I could see Lord Dominic's Essence Reaver being the build, honestly. I think it's definitely Lord Dominic's over Mortar Reminder. And then, yeah, I think it's debatable for the last one. Essence Reaver could certainly be worthwhile. Yep, I love that he went Giant Slayer first, by the way. I think it's actually really smart because there's not a lot of armor on the other players. Turtle, you're amazing. Thank you for building correctly. And now we're going to see CLG keep the pressure on, though. Now, this Drake's up at 30 seconds and the Baron's up in 45, so if CLG keep map pressure, they can just go for a neutral. But they are right now sieging mid, even if just for map pressure.
Yeah, it's pretty much about mid lane priority as far
No
as
high for a few seconds, still recalling. He's gonna stun in the vent, half HP on the Balls. Here comes the engage. Balls just barely gonna survive it, but the refight gonna come in. No Frontline gonna die just yet. It's gonna be the disengage. The ulti out of Wild Turtle. The Q not quite gonna land. But it's enough damage to force back CLG. But again, Panalectric Gaming's tanks have War Mugs. They're gonna be active full health.
Yeah, I don't think CLG expected to get so much damage onto the Shin, then just kind of thought, hey, why not go for it? But they used a lot for that. It looked like FlyQuest was actually willing to concede the Infernal Drake based on their ward line. So CLG trying to grab that real quick, as was expected. But FlyQuest is setting up a Baron. They were hoping to rush it, but CLG is really on top of this on their way already.
Yeah, they had to know the timing that Baron was going to be too desynced. They get ward control at least, and maybe CLG's lackadaisical on the rotation, but it seems like not. You see the tanks in the front line. Darshan picking one of the avenues, and CLG gonna be first to mid. They should get mid lane inhibitor turret for this, as Huhi zones out 4 more seconds with the Q.
Well, with no Baron, Turtle just needs to get 2 auto attacks off with the W, or 1 if he gets a crit.
80% of the time he does.
Good luck pushing against Sivir without Baron.
Ooh. Spell shield pop, high. He's gonna go for the engage, and he's gonna shut down Huhi. That's the kind of situation they needed, and suddenly a pause. Huhi says, wait a second. Actually, I have no idea what it was. I don't want to speculate, but certainly that seemed out of place from the CLG mid laner to go for something that aggressive when they were winning already.
Yeah, spooked or something. That was a huge play by High right here. We'll have to get the knowledge on who paused and what for right there, because that's a massive moment in the game right now. We're 31 minutes in. The Infernal Drake was just picked up by CLG, but Huhi being down for 50 seconds means FlyQuest can play the Baron pit. They already have control wards in place, and they have control wards in their inventory, so they can absolutely deny vision around that area.
Well, camera's on Huhi. It does seem it's him. The question is, when we figure out what it is, did he think he was supposed to be able to flash? Did he think he lost control? I don't know just yet. We'll get confirmation. Again, sorry, I shouldn't be speculating in the slightest. 1,000 gold lead for CLG. With, if this stands, if this game goes this way, right, with Huhi dead, you have to imagine FlyQuest says, all right, we have 45 seconds to Baron Dance. Actually a minute, because he has to leave the base as well. They have a minute to Baron Dance in a 5v4. You expect that to go FlyQuest's way, even if they're missing Slicing Maelstrom. That should be enough because they have Sivir ulti, and they have Rakan ulti, and they have Rakan flash.
Yeah.
FlyQuest should be able to use his 5v4.
Yeah.
For a lot.
What a game this has turned into as far as how close it's been and how back and forth it has been. Again, just kind of emphasizing what is on the line. The winner of the regional qualifier gets the 3rd seed at the World Championship. This year at the World Championship, that means they are put into the play-in stage. So 24 teams going to Worlds, 12 of them being involved in the play-in stage. They would then be placed in a group of 3 that is drawn, and if they are able to win a best of 5 after that, then they go into what used to be known as the World's group stage. So such a long road ahead, and for a team like FlyQuest, it started all the way back in week 9 when they were fighting to keep their championship points and avoid the promotion tournament. They won both of their best of 3s then. They've spent this month plus clearly practicing hard, getting back into sync, finding some of the magic they had in the spring split, and are looking really strong coming into this. So with the knowledge we had from the summer split, almost no one was saying FlyQuest was even going to make it past the first round, let alone now, after seeing them crush Team Dignitas, after seeing them go up 1-0 on this CLG team and then be close in the second game, you're starting to wonder if this team really has a chance of going to Worlds yet again, and it's been quite a story to follow so far.
Well, the story I've heard so far from production is, quote, investigating a possible bug with Aurelian Soul. I do not have any more than that for you right now. But yeah, it's Aurelian Soul and bugs. I don't know if we've ever seen this before, but
I've heard that one before, Freak.
We have. Normally it's when TSM's losing. This time they're not even in the game. So hi, or Reginald sending his regards. But it's true. I mean, you know, it's funny because it's true. I actually think there's a really funny chain of stories with CLG and FlyQuest interacting. Okay, so FlyQuest even got top 4. The reason they're here is they beat CLG in the spring quarterfinals in that reverse sweep upset. So the fact that CLG are actually fighting in the regional qualifier and not going to Worlds on points is because FlyQuest upset them in the quarterfinal and knocked them into a 6th place. So the 3rd place wasn't enough to get up on points, right? Immortals took them on that spot, C9 the same. FlyQuest is only even here because CLG beat Envy so that FlyQuest have more points than them.
True.
Otherwise, Envy would be in that spot hoping for that run as well. So CLG got FlyQuest here by beating Envy. Otherwise, it'd be them instead. And then what then is funny in the future is, this is courtesy of a Reddit post, by the way, I forget the guy's name though, is if FlyQuest wins, then they're almost single-handedly responsible for eliminating CLG from Worlds by beating them in the quarterfinals of spring, by beating them in the regional qualifier here. Okay, summer split CLG could have won. They didn't play FlyQuest there, but you know, or 2 of the 3 reasons CLG would be eliminated from contention for Worlds. And so this team just keep interacting. It's just kind of very interesting.
Yeah. Hopefully at some point during this pause we can get a replay of the interaction we were talking about or that is being investigated to try and see what our QA team will be looking at. Obviously they're investigating the claims. They want to make sure before they go on if it is a bug or not, and then follow the protocols from there. But like we said, such a pivotal moment in the game right now. 31 minutes in, 1,000 gold between these 2 teams.
Okay. Well, we do have a replay. That's been told to me, so we'll have that come up on the screen in a little bit. Let's see who he does with this.
And now we get to speculate as much as we want. So we're going to try and figure out what's happening here. Huhi's obviously going in for high. Starts his Q. Banshee's Veil is then popped.
Yeah, which means he can still use, or assume, get out of E. Is he now locked out from right-clicking or something?
The Q... You know, we're just trying to figure out what's happening.
So, if I'm to... Again, I'm purely speculating because I have no other information. So I'm going to speculate, full disclosure of speculation. If the interaction is... So normally, right, your E is canceled as Aurelian, so when you take damage. Right? Like, you can't keep flying and be in combat. It is an out-of-combat ability purely. So if theoretically a spell shield blocks the incoming damage, are you, like, not able to now cancel because the game thinks you're supposed to fall out of it? Like, is that the interaction that possibly investigating? Like, that would be the only reason, because who's a good enough player to not face check a cannon?
Yeah, I did just hear from production that they're investigating something with the E canceling. So either who he thinks he tried to cancel it and it did not cancel, which prevented him from being able to use the rest of his kit, so to speak, or it did cancel when it shouldn't have, would be the other argument. But based on what we saw right there, I thought Hai outplayed him pretty hard there, right? Being able to dodge away. We're going to watch it one more time. He starts the E, obviously. He wants to land the Q stun, so he sends the Q at a bit of an angle to try and cut off his retreat path, right? But then Hai proto belts over it, and at this point...
his E was put on cooldown when the Banshee's Veil blocked the Q, so it was in a state of canceled but not canceled is what seems to have happened. Again, slightly speculating, but that's... in my... With speculation, I think Huhi wanted to cancel the E. It went on cooldown by showing me that tooltip there, meaning that I'm guessing a Banshee's Veil interaction it was in a state of canceled but not canceled. He then couldn't right-click out of it. He's still locked in the movement. And so he just face checks into a full HP Kennen. That's my speculation on what happened there, which definitely feels like a bug.
Yeah, either way, Huhi is down right now. If it is a bug, if it's deemed to be a bug by the team, then they need to define the severity, and they have to know whether or not they would offer a chrono break to CLG, which would be the option. That would be the next step if they deem it to be a bug. So we have to wait on the team to decide on that while they investigate.
I'll have to wait to see. Of course, this could take a little while, but if you start seeing refs talk to Huhi and the rest of CLG more directly, it's probably what that portion of the situation is.
Yeah. At a certain point during extended pauses like this, teams are allowed to communicate based on the referee's discretion. This is obviously an interesting time as well because the game is in such a high value point, but as you can see, high talking right now. Seems like they give me okay. Go ahead.
All right, well, as we still have some more time to go through with this pause, I'm going to send it down to Dash and our esteemed analysts. See you there.
Thank you very much, Free. Got a little bit of time to talk about the game, as unfortunately we have hit a pause due to the investigation of the Aurelion Sol E bug. But it wouldn't be an Aurelion Sol game if we didn't have a bug to investigate.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of the thing with those champions. Some of them just always have problems. Azir, another one where you feel lucky, you know, when you're able to get through a season without an Azir bug.
Well, as the design of the champions gets more complex, obviously, opportunity for bugs do arise. But let's talk about this game and the way that it's developing, because a very stark contrast between this one and game one, at least in the approach that both teams have elected to take.
I think the big thing is just for CLG, the fact that it went so much worse in the early game compared to game one, but they were able to bounce back a lot better to the point where before this little incident, it looked like they were running away with this game, and that just speaks to the comp being so much better for them.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing a much more standard draft. I think that, you know, despite kind of the disaster in mid lane at the very start, I think Huhi and the team bounced back very well. They were actually able to come back pretty well in mid lane, and I really like Cho'Gath into Shen as a matchup. I think Darshan has played this very well. He's been able to pick up a lot of stacks, a lot of kills, and one of the things that's kind of nice about a comp like this is that although you're looking at Sivir and you're like, well, Sivir is going to outcarry the Ashe, going to do a lot more damage, you actually have a lot of frontline damage coming out from the Sejuani with percent HP damage on Hurry and on some of her abilities, as well as the Cho'Gath who's doing percent HP damage on the E, as well as a massive true damage ultimate. So despite the fact that Sivir would normally kill frontliners faster than the Ashe, the math gets completely thrown off, and it's like a lot easier of a comp to execute too for CLG. So I think their 5v5 straight up is just better.
The one thing I will say that I like about FlyQuest comp is while it's not standard by any means, when you have a Kennen, Shen, J4 jump onto an Ashe and Aurelion Sol, two immobile carries, you can delete them instantly, and suddenly front to back doesn't matter because your backline's dead. So you saw that in that one Baron skirmish that happened where Fly almost found the backline, was kind of forced away from it, and both Huhi and Stixxay get out, and then they get smashed in that fight, to your point about just losing straight up 5v5.
Either way, both teams have solid 5v5 compositions and have tools to win those 5v5s if things go their way and they execute properly, which is what is so different between this game and the last, right? CLG opting to say, fine, if you're going to put us in situations where we have to respond to quick global objective calls, then we may as well gear ourselves more towards the 5v5 and fight you straight up.
Yeah, exactly. Play a more standard game than they did in game one. Not as lane reliant, certainly. And yeah, both teams can obviously win the 5v5s. When you're looking at comps that have the different win conditions within that fight, though, I always tend to favor the teams where it's like, okay, well, FlyQuest, they can win the 5v5, but they need to control vision, get a ward, get a flank, get something in. Like, it feels harder than just pressing Jarvan R, Galio R, start the fight, right? Like, you can't just go through a Sejuani and a Cho'Gath, in my opinion, and find that good.
It is still harder, but it is still a more explosive team fight in the sense where, like, if you find them, you instantly win that fight. And I do think that does play better than when you have, like, two massive front lines bumping into each other. You have to play the ranges of all the engaged tools very well. Make sure that as a tank, you're not a little bit too far forward, so you get flayed that one more time, and then they keep DPSing you. And those are those, like, really subtle movements when you watch really high-level games where you're like, oh, my God, that's such a good front line. And I think FlyQuest playing the kind of more go and blow somebody up style plays to their strengths.
And this conversation here is very relevant to what we might see happen in this game, right? At least at the stage that we're at right now, where the team is stacking up 5v5 against each other. Let's talk about how they got to this point in the game, because you mentioned it, Azael. The attention to the mid lane from FlyQuest, putting Huhi behind, but ultimately CLG kind of crafting a very careful response to help get him back into the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just why I love seeing CLG back on kind of their more standard comfort picks, because when most people talk about Aurelion Sol, they're like, this champion needs to snowball. It's all about pushing early game and making
And
plays.
roaming.
Yeah, and it's get destroyed in lane, but he shows such mastery over the champion. He finds ways to still be relevant. He finds ways to be like, hey, team, I think they're going to dive me now. Come bring the backup, and they're able to play around it.
Yeah, I mean, I think he did do a really good job. Credit certainly to Aframu and Omar God for covering him, at those times of weakness. I think had they not been able to turn around the first dive that happened on Huhi, I think the game would have snowballed. But yeah, he gave up CS. He died twice to the ganks. Yes, I think there were some misplays from Huhi, perhaps not respecting Moon enough on the flag and drag flash. He could have just early flashed as soon as that came out and certainly would have survived. But it's kind of, do you think he's going to do it? Do you not, right? It's a bit of a guessing game, and Huhi fell short there, but certainly was able to maintain, find his way back into the game, find picks. I think they played well with Ashe and Aurelion Sol in combination, constantly trying to look for those picks on Turtle, especially throughout the mid game, was really nice.
I was just about to bring that up. The fact that it looks to be a more difficult game for Wild Turtle, just in the sense that he has to be so cautious about getting picked. We've seen multiple times flashing, spell shields, ulting away from fights, which is buying CLG so much of this time to kind of scale back up and help Huhi get the items he needs to become that, ball of death, kind of space control bot that Aurelion Sol becomes.
Right. I just think all those attempts at mid, it's just one of those, like, if you think about traditional sports, like, you just keep shooting, and it's going to put pressure on them, and you just need one to really connect.
I do have a little bit of news or a little bit of an update on the bug investigation. CLG has been offered a remake, and they have accepted. So we're now looking into the ability to chrono break the situation. That will be the first attempt. If for whatever reason that's not possible, of course, we'd look at actual remake options.
And I mean, it does make some sense. Like, right after we watched that replay, it seemed pretty suspect that he continues to go. His team is retreating. Like, he's very clearly trying to zone high out and then retreat with the team, but he continues forward with the flight. So to me, it looks pretty strange. And and the fact that it's at such a critical juncture of the game, Shen split pushing, about to put pressure, on the inhibitor turret, that would have been a 5v4 with Baron up, with Shen at your inhibitor, and that would have been, the most important kind of section of
yeah, exactly. That's such a huge aspect of bugs in general, is what is the state of the game, right? What is this bug actually going to mean in terms of the circumstance and the consequence within the game? And when you have a Shen who's already about to be on the opposing team's inhib, when the bug occurs, you now lose someone, you're in a 5v4 and have to worry about the split. It was definitely a huge detriment to CLG here if it wasn't, in fact, a bug.
Right, and even the point you're saying about, like, just the eyeball test, sometimes you can look at something and be like, that.
Just look weird.
Yeah, I mean, like, Huhi's so good on Aurelion Sol. I doubt this guy is going to just be like, oops, I drifted way too far forward into a Kennen 1v1 who's now in range to ult me. And, like, he's not going to make that mistake, hundreds of times.
Especially when your team is not coming behind you.
Right. It's not like I'm trying to force action. It's like, I shot something, it missed, I'm going to back out, but for some reason it keeps going.
But at least this replay or the bug itself kind of did give us an example of what you talked about, the immobility of the Aurelion Sol and the Ashe in a fight. And if you do misstep for a moment, right, the bug caused the misstep here, but out of position Aurelion Sol dies instantly to a Kennen and a Jarvan, and you can see how impactful, just the slightest misposition will be as we move into the later stages of this game specifically.
Yeah, you certainly can. And also, from FlyQuest's point of view, even if you fully accept, okay, it was a bug, he wouldn't have done that, that is still so annoying, right?
It feels bad.
It's a frustrating situation to be in. And here we can watch it one more time. Like, you can clearly see he's going to try to zone high out. But if you follow the rest of the CLG members on the right side, they start to actually look to retreat. Darshan is walking off to the right, and he's still flying. Like, even Mark brought this up where it's like, even High is kind of confused. He's kind of hesitating to actually pull the trigger on the ultimate because he's like, well, wait, why is he still coming? Is someone else there? Do I not understand something?
Yeah, it's one of those things where sometimes you're just like, what is this guy doing exactly? And it was one of those, I think everyone had that kind of moment where they tilted their head at Huhi. And just to the point about, like, the team turning away, they're clearly like, we're under pressure from this Shen. We should probably do something else. And I doubt Huhi's like, let me go try and 1v1 the Kennen.
Now, we're not entirely sure where or even if they'll be able to chrono break the game 2 at this point, right? So I don't want to speculate too much, but I do want to talk about, given that this play will ideally be removed from the game, in a sense, how does FlyQuest grab control of this game? Because we talked about this could have been a turning point for FlyQuest, where CLG seemed to have wrestled largely the control of this game.
I think like right where that replay started, you see that the game is pretty in a neutral state. So if the game goes back anything close to that, it's really not that big of a deal. CLG is probably going to go to Baron and either look to force, or they're just going to reset the Cho'Gath and deal with the Shen. And if you're FlyQuest, like you're saying, you're hoping potentially that they go for the Baron force option, because that plays into FlyQuest kind of really decisive play style. They have to have the Shen with pressure, and then they're probably going to look for, while they're kind of trapped in the Baron pit, maybe they can find that all-in attempt.
Right.
And I mean, for me, for CLG, they're trying to control vision, eliminate any flank wards, push up and siege, right? Make them actually fight through your team, whereas CLG, they're trying to do that, and FlyQuest is trying to find flanks. They're trying to find some sort of Kennen plus Shen combo to actually get on top of, the Ashe, get on top of the Aurelion Soul. Because if you can pull that off, to Mark's point, it's an extremely explosive comp, and the game can turn like that.
We've seen some of the difficulty, though, for High in terms of getting in on those team
Plus
fights
double
around
exhaust.
the Baron, right? You've got a double exhaust for one. Even with the Flash and the Proto Bell at times, even a well-timed flay from Aframu has kept him out of the fight. And when you don't have that TP on the Kennen, instead of an Ignite, you're not able to kind of start from a TP flank either.
That's one of the big things for me was the Ignite. I kind of get it, where you want to be able to punish that Aurelion Soul, but I think as the game goes on more and more, you're seeing how much they probably wish they had that TP. There were a couple times where CLG can brute force as hard as they want in the mid lane. We're talking about just keep taking those shots. If you have a TP ward behind you and you blow some ults trying to get onto the Sivir, all of a sudden the Kennen's behind your team. And the fact that he doesn't have that makes those attempts freer. You have less pressure around the Baron, you're less pressure on split push. The Ignite being the summoner choice, while it's hard to criticize because laning phase went so well for the Kennen, as this game goes on, you wish you had that TP.
Yeah, if anything, the criticism around the lane phase is what was done after those first 2 kills came through, right? We saw the look and the posturing for the dive. Moon decides to leave that pod. They still go for the dive, and that's where it all kind of started to turn around, as opposed to taking that advantage and say, hey, let's extend it now to our side lanes. We've got a Fed Kennen and a Fed Jarvan. Can we 4-man dive in the top or the bottom?
And I mean, to that point, it just becomes then more about his teammates setting him up, right? Can the Jarvan actually set him up with a flank and Cataclysm and lock them in for that Kennen? Can Elimination find the engage, or can Balls actually find a TP flank or something along those lines to hold them in place to get that fight going? Because if they can, especially if you can actually, force out an early flash from one of those carries and then still have your flash available to force a fight, like that becomes super dangerous for CLG.
Right, kind of going back to our point in the first game, their comp had so many tools that they could kind of be excessive with their engages. And if you blow a Jarvan EQ ult combo just to get the flash, well, guess what? Your Rakan can go for a flash RW combo, and then the Shen comes on that second attempt. So they do have tools where they can maybe go for these layered engages, but CLG does feel very strong right now, and if you ever flub one of those, maybe your Jarvan can't get out.
Yeah, another thing I'd like to talk about, we're kind of just making a complete departure here, is the number of 80 carry bans that we've seen go through in this series alone. We had 5 in this game, 2 the prior game, 1, 2, 3, 4 going through in the ban phases. And so a lot of focus towards that 80 carry position shows us, or rather relegates these guys to the Ashe and the Sivir, but it does kind of align with what we're talking about, the bot lanes being hugely relevant to the success of both of these teams more recently.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it could certainly be a nod to how well Wild Turtle actually did play yesterday, right? Try to take away some of his comfort champions, because although Balls played well around the team, in 2 of the 3 games, he got very far behind, right? And High was actually losing lane, I believe, all 3 games as far as farm to Keen. So, they played very well as a team, but individually, the person who was always winning was Turtle. So try to target him, try to take him down off some of these picks. And if you can put them both on kind of more supportive champions, it makes it more about the solo lanes, which is where CLG, I think, has had more strength.
And I think that's why you also see FlyQuest throwing a couple bans in there, is because they're trying to make sure that they can keep up and get good matchups for Turtle, because they probably also realize, like, this is our best late game insurance and team fighting policy. So, if we want to make sure that he's relevant in some way, he's not getting bad matchups. And if he ends up pushed down onto something like a Sivir, at least it's into Ashe, where, you might get outranged a little bit, eat some auto attacks, but at least you can spell shield that ultimate and things like that.
Both supports quite clearly prioritizing the playmakers still. We've got the Rakan for Elimination, seems to be a favorite pick of his nowadays, but from Aframu as well, the Thresh. Again, when we talk about that dive, the attempted dive out of FlyQuest here, the thing that saves it is the fact that all of those guys are sitting around. Chrono Break looks like it was successful, I'm just being told, so I'll cut myself off, and I'm going to throw you guys back over to Freakin' Jat to get us back into the game. Enjoy.
Thank you very much. I am here with Freakin' Jat. He's a great person. I am also Freak. That was lame. And of course, yes, as Dash mentioned, Chrono Break seems to have worked. So we will go back some amount of time, probably very little bit into the past, and replay it.
Yeah, thank you everyone for sticking with us. As some of you may know, it's not exactly a rewind tool. Chrono Break just records all the inputs from the game, plays them back until before the moment of the bug, and then restarts. So it was running during a lot of that pause. Luckily, they say it is successful, and we'll get back in as soon as possible. And
That's great.
The referee basically defines a dead ball state in the game, so it's not going to be like a second before rail install hits cannon. They're going to try to find a point of low contact. That is a judgment call. So we're going to get to see where they put it in as far as the remake of the game.
Yeah, if I'm going to guess, it'll be after Infernal Break's taken, the Baron scuffle happens, and like FlyQuest runs back to their base, and they're like kind of both streaming down, like through mid lane and through that jungle. That'd be my guess, which would be like, 20 seconds, 15 seconds in the past. Maybe it's before then, but we'll have to see what it ends up being, because they were a little bit interactive right before then, but of course, it remains to be seen. The players are sitting back down. A couple of CLG members had taken a break during that pause. High was pretty much just dictating to his team the entire time. The teams had some time. And we are back into this one. Looks like not very far in the past. The Infernal Drake was taken. So we went back about 8 seconds, and here we are.
Yeah, before Aurelion Sol essentially goes for the cannon, they instead opt out from the mid lane. So we're back in the game, basically the same game state, and it's a reset. Because remember, this is the point of the game, as who he goes all the way at, able to cancel his E. As
Well, it went max duration,
a
so
little bit of relief.
not necessarily known.
Anyway, the pressure from the Shen was being applied. That's what prompted the earlier play. And now it's game on. FlyQuest back trying to take control of the Baron area.
All right, so here we go. Who can take down game 2? It's a close one, but CLG up that Infernal Drake, fairly useful at this point. We'll see who can come in next to this one. Let's take down everything that they can. It's going to clear away the mid lane as well. See what comes in next. The reset out of Huhi. Got his Leander's Torment done and a Sorcerer's Elixir, so he knows there's an impending fight coming in. This Baron likely to be that target. CLG had gotten the first Baron earlier in this game. Hurricane aggro's Baron, loses 400 health. Not really his fault. He didn't have a choice. Lord Dominic's done for Wild Turtle. His tank killing is in. And yeah, he could go Essence Reaver. He could go like a Death Dance to get a lifesteal item, or he could go Ruin King for better tank killing. I think all are options. I think Ruin King actually might be the best against Cho'Gath, to be completely honest. Just for the single target damage. We'll see what he ends up doing. Darshan back in his lane.
Yeah, and because of how close the game is, it is difficult to full 5v5 start a Baron.
Yeah.
With Infernal Drake being down now, there isn't a crazy mechanism to force teams to fight each other. Both top laners have teleport. Essentially, one team will want to set up some type of split push, and whoever can win the split push war between the Shen and the Cho'Gath has priority on the Baron forcing, but you still have to be extremely respectful of both teams' initiation, whether it's FlyQuest with all of theirs, right? Every member can contribute to it, or for CLG where they have that tank wall that tries to move forward and just mow down Wild Turtle.
We'll see what comes into this one. Wave clear still happening for the Cho'Gath in the mid lane. It's pretty hard to kill, and now CLG going to try to rush down the Baron with Darshan buying that time. Team joins in, Elimination sees them, another re-engage towards Moon. Quickness comes into the back line. They're going to find Axe, but he's not touched otherwise. Flashes away because Ball's on him with that Shen, getting a lot of damage across Nixie. Still in danger, 300 up. It's a Locket Shield to stay alive. He's trying to kite back Darshan. Getting the kill, Fever once over, now Fly rejoins the fight. Cannot quite kill Darshan, but that Cho'Gath is low. Looking for the back line. Overgod getting burned down with the Ignite. The cannon gets the kill. High gets him. 2 alive right now. FlyQuest looks like 3 right now for CLG. Looking to chase down Wild Turtle. He's going to fall, and it's now only Moon left alive against 3 of Counterlogic Gaming. He is going to die. Smites Baron for HP. Tripico still comes through, and they've got mid lane control.
Oh man, such a close fight there as CLG is able to successfully force, but you got to see what a good fight that was for Wild Turtle Sivir. I see heal up. I think he died with heal at the very end of it. We'll have to check during the replay. That could have been huge because he was very close to turning that fight around. Now Warmogs has healed Darshan up, who he still has a lot of mana, and they're going to take this Baron.
They should be just fine. Baron does not turn off the Ocean Drake regen, so everyone's healthy enough. Who he, of course, very low from the fight, but he's going to be fine with this one. Darshan tanky enough. Now, there's no smite, but he's got the ulti in about 10 seconds, and honestly, it should all be fine. The 5 alive as well means they're all going to get the buff, and Ball's not quite at range in time, but they might get some recall stops. Elimination's here. Ball's going to land the taunt. Going to look for the squishy.
Yeah.
Going for Afro move.
I'm not sure if they can actually win this fight, but they're going to try.
And Feast is up. Keep in mind, though, Darshan can now chomp down if he wants to. This is going to be a dead Shen in a second. Yeah, down he goes. They didn't expect him to not use it for the Baron kill, but he didn't have it up at the time. Another kill goes over, and Darshan's even bigger.
Yeah, before we go to Flame Wild Turtle, it was a visual bug that his heal is up. It was down during this fight, so CLG goes into that Baron buff. Darshan, it's all about trying to get past the Cho'Gath, and the Shen comes in with Elimination, so they do everything they can, and look at the damage that just the Redemption and the Shen get onto Stixxay, nearly killing him, and then the ult comes through. But once again, Hai gets exhausted during his ult, doesn't do that much. Wild Turtle doing his damnedest to try and outplay this fight, but Aftermove flashes to get the play, and critically, that moves him into range of Huhi's stars. That's what gets him for the double kill. Huhi, kind of this bruiser AP, sticks in the fight the whole time, never focused down, ends up securing the fight for CLG in the end.
And that's the way he builds. He builds for a lot of durability to stay alive longer. He did well for that one, despite Stixxay falling. He was the damage up what they needed. Now the push on in.
Going in, he wants to
Darshan
defend Turtle.
gets the slow onto Moon, who face tanks it. The turret's going to fall down. Now no turret to defend. Double stun into the Jarvan. And a back out for CLG. Of course, they've got that 5-person Baron buff. They've got the regen they need. The Dragon's going to come up during that Baron timer with plenty of minutes to spare. Looking for round 2 as they see bot lane some more.
Trying to play this slow and steady. Have to point out right now, Moon is super squishy to Stixxay. All he's done is build magic resist right here, so he doesn't take much from Huhi, but he gets crushed by Stixxay. Means the priority is really high to kill Stixxay.
A bit of ricochet damage coming across. The Shiv coming through as well. Darshan at half HP means only 3,000. Be careful, Darshan. You're running out of health. Elder Dragon spawning in 15, and a quick pause.
Once again, we'll have to get an investigation onto what is happening right here.
And
Looks
it's
like,
rough talking to Moon.
pause.
But he's smiling, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, definitely speaking. Anyway, we've seen now another big swing in the game for CLG. They were winning before the initial chrono break, able to successfully force that Baron down, and Darshan's Cho'Gath is a huge issue for FlyQuest. Sivir not able to shred that Cho'Gath down, and it's just delaying the fights long enough for Huhi's Aurelion Sol to make huge damage gains with his Liandry's in those team fights.
So we'll see what comes through into this one. Is wait to see what the situation's going to be. Moon's still talking with the squad. We'll see what comes into this. But yeah, certainly Counterlogic Gaming in a good spot, as we knew from before. The Elder Dragon was spawning in just a few seconds, under 30. The Baron buff's lasting for about a minute and a half. So, okay, comments towards Hai with the referee. And wait to see what the actual situation is. But again, this is a close game. CLG in the lead here for sure. Game 2 of the best of 5. If CLG closed it out, there's 2 or 3 more to play. Once again, winner plays Cloud9 tomorrow, who are waiting somewhat impatiently to see which team they're going to go against, now having to prep for both these squads. FlyQuest was all but counted out. I mean, they were here as a formality. I remember seeing comments online like, man, I mean, this is our punishment for saying Spring Split matters. Can't believe FlyQuest here. I would have rather had Envy a competitive team. Those are the comments that we were seeing. And well, it turns out FlyQuest more than competitive, of course. The 3-over Dignitas was super solid. Right, this is their payment for getting top 4 in spring and at least staying out of the bottom 2 in summer. Is they are here. They are at the bottom rung of the regional qualifier because they did well enough in the first half of the year. Spring certainly matters. Here's your proof. I mean, the Hai and Balls and Elimination did this a few years ago when they went over to Paris for the group stage of the World Championship, also with a 7th place team from the summer split. They carried enough points from spring.
It was a year of reverse sweeps. They reverse swept the first round, the second round, and then won the third round 3-1. So definitely know what it takes to make it through, and I think that infuses them with so much confidence. They've been through so many ups and downs as a team. They have that inbuilt trust to know that they can make it back to that level, even if it hasn't been there. And to be fair, I think CLG has a lot of that same thing going on. They're a team that was knocked out in the quarterfinals of the spring split, made it to the semifinals, and finished 3rd in the summer split, but still have to prove themselves in this regional qualifier yet again. And just to give the fans an update on what is happening right here, the Dragon timers, when they press tab for Hai and Moon, are missing. So they're trying to just restart the client to get them back.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely a big deal because those are important times. You don't want to have to say, "Hey, Elimination, what's the Dragon timer?" I don't have one. That feels unfair. So certainly deserving to pause and reconnect for that one. Again, it is coming up pretty soon. And you mentioned actually before proving yourself, really. And there's an interesting kind of point with CLG where if Counterlogic Gaming play 8 games in the regional qualifier, so maybe 4 here and maybe 4 tomorrow, or something to that effect, Omar God will have played as many games on CLG as Dardoch has. So they got the 3rd place win with Omar God in the lineup. They played the last couple of weeks with him as well. And now if they actually qualify for Worlds with Omar God, like he has now been, played more games with CLG than Dardoch has. And even, with him getting some criticism, and he's maybe been a bit of a slow starter, not quite the explosive rookie that someone like Mike Young might have been earlier on in the year, very much he is the starting jungler for the squad. He's been playing better and better throughout the last couple of weeks. He was great in the third place match. He has been okay so far today. And again, by the end of this, if they can make that run to Worlds, he will have played more games than Dardoch did. And this third place is as much his as it was any other member of CLG. And very much a part of that squad. And in his rookie split, despite not getting the votes for rookie split by any means, maybe heading to Worlds at the end of it all.
Yeah, and still obviously trying to work through the pause. You can see a lot of communication between the referees, League Ops, and FlyQuest to try and solve this pause. And to speak to CLG and Omar God a little bit more, it's been nearly 2 months with him starting on the team. Yeah. He's been on the team for much longer. Obviously, they found him in Scouting Grounds, which is at the very start of the year. He played on CLG Academy, made his road all the way up through here, and now has been involved in many high-pressure games. And even though he hasn't looked great, he does look more a part of the team now than he did when he first subbed in. It's been a rocky road for them to get him into the CLG team, but it is definitely progressing.
It definitely is. And shout out to Scouting Grounds. There's another one coming in fairly soon, in a week or two as well, for North America. So that'll be a fun one to watch for. I believe the finals will be broadcast, but the rest of it's going to be all kind of in-house with the teams drafting their squads. So that'll be fun. There was, actually, it might be in more than 2 weeks. I forget exactly. Anyway, it was been announced.
It's online.
And
Google Scouting Grounds 2017.
Scouting Grounds is cool. There are actually some cool extra rules added as well. Basically, it's the no one tricks rule. Like, you have to play at most 40% of your games in one champion. I'm getting off topic, so I'll redirect to this one. But again, still a very close fight into this one. Right there, that man on your screen, Wild Turtle, he is pretty much, he has to be the main carry force. Like, he is the one who's going to be able to kill these tanks. High has built for squishy killing, but with double locket, double exhaust, that cannon's not going to get a lot of work done against the 7,000 health Cho'Gath with the stone plate. It is going to be on Turtle right here. He has gone to Worlds so many times before. He was one of the longest standing TSM members back in the day. He was on the Immortals squad that just barely fell short last year, and then had even that MSI trip with TSM earlier in this split. Like, the man consistently goes to international competition.
Yeah.
And it was believed that he was going to be an upgrade for FlyQuest, and it was such a slow start in summer.
Yeah, I mean, Wild Turtle is an incredibly experienced player. There's been 10 North American LCS finals. He's been in 7 of them. Was in the first 6, has been in 1. Last split, obviously, with TSM when he was an NA LCS champion. Got to attend MSI before moving on to FlyQuest because he did not want to be the 6th man on that TSM roster.
Yep.
Even though it was offered to him, wanted to try and make his own way on FlyQuest, and this would be, once again, his opportunity to. He was player of the series yesterday.
1 death in 3 games.
1 death in 3 games. Perfect positioning for pretty much all of those fights. Has had very good positioning here.
I love that I can hear High, like, yelling.
He is so loud.
Like, normally I hear him in the battle theater, like, especially when, before we got Olivi, I'd stand by the side of the stage, wait to do the interview with the winning team, and for whatever reason, FlyQuest kept being on red side, so I'm, like, 15 feet from High, and I could just hear all his shot calls, like, the last 10 minutes of the game. Like, all right, I'm in position, ready to go, and it's all him talking about positioning and the flanking and how long the mid lane is going to show up, and he's almost always exactly right and how long it's going to take. And then here I am, like, a story above and, like, 50 feet away, whatever. I'm wearing headphones, and I can still make out, like, half the words he's saying. The man is communicative.
That's for sure. Definitely been stronger for their communication as well in this regional qualifier so far.
Yeah.
About 5 games in. Just waiting to get an update on what the solve is, whether or not it is a playthrough, whether or not they're able to fix it.
Yeah.
We'll get that information to you as soon as we get it.
Yeah, at this point, a simple client restart would have happened. I think even a computer restart would have come through at this point. So, as you said, Jat, waiting to hear the rest of the details into this one. Maybe it even goes back to the analyst desk for a little bit. I'm not sure just yet. But again, we got 2 minutes later than, than the previous pause for maybe a slightly less impacting but still important bug. And CLG, again, in the lead this time around. It wasn't an Aurelion Soul just nosediving into a barn door and crashing and burning. So you expect CLG to keep pressure. And if you play the game out, I would say 7 times out of 10, CLG probably wins this one and makes it 1-1. But that 3 out of 10, of course, still a possibility for FlyQuest.
Yeah, anything can happen in these games. And I just got the update from production. So the Dragon timers are still missing for FlyQuest, but they have confirmed that Elder Dragon is spawning now. So the fact that the timer does or does not work becomes irrelevant because they have told FlyQuest that the Elder Dragon will be coming up in 16 seconds. They told them that exact time, and they're saying play through.
And likely that yellow mark in the bottom right corner as well in the minimap also probably shows in their clients as well, even if the tab timer does not. So timers are in. Elder Dragon in about 5 seconds, and CLG, again, they are there first. They've got a full health Cho'Gath, and they have seemingly every single summoner spell and ultimate available. See that ends up being the case here.
Let's say
Six
just straight up starting.
knock this one down as fast as he can. He's got the Infinity Edge done. He's got plenty of damage here. Oh my god, tanking up as well. And FlyQuest seems to be zoned out. No one is coming through that river. No one's going through the jungle. This is going to be Elder Dragon for CLG. And pause or not, they had no way of contesting. Elder Dragon picked up now. CLG Gaming 6,000 gold up. Baron buff should still be on for, I believe, 40 seconds. And this Elder Dragon on them as well.
Yeah, another recall comes through for CLG. They are super buffed, so to speak, right now. Baron, Elder, getting the true damage burn stacked up a little bit. Also 50% more effectiveness on the Infernal and the Ocean Drake.
Yep.
Locket Stoneplate on 2 people, so massive shields can come through in team fights. If anyone sticks back to help shield Stixxay, a lot of that goes to make Heise Kennen more and more irrelevant as this game goes on. Not only does he have to contend with double exhaust, he has to contend with 3 different lockets.
Yes, he does. He's got a Void Staff for himself, but he's picked up a QSS to deal with some of these stuns and silences, but that means he's roughly out of damage slots. In the build, he's got 1 left for maybe a Zonia's when he chugs the Elixir. Darshan pops the Iron Elixir. He's got about 7,000 health, and Aurelian still coming down the mid lane with the big star in tow. Who he wanted to be just that for the team as he runs forward and zones them off the turret. And it does create a lot of distance. Mid lane going to fall. The Baron going to time out in a few more seconds, but with Elder Dragon on, mid lane has fallen and bot lane is next.
Already have an exposed inhibitor. It's a really tall task for FlyQuest to fight them now. The correct choice may actually to be going down 2 inhibitors. Wild Turtle will be able to clear that no problem as Sivir. One of the things you can do with Sivir, more 3 inhibitor comebacks than many other champions.
Yep, and Darshan, you can see, takes a lot of damage, loses about a third of his health bar. The chomp on in, look at the burst damage. Boss is gone for the start of it. That is a tank dyke from over half HP. Darshan gonna walk back up to the team, and now, question is with the next wave coming in. No one cleared that one out from CLG. 5v4 looking to now knock down the Nexus itself.
They could be going for the win here. Still have Elder Dragon. Balls was killed defending that inhibitor. They would love to have him now.
Looking for the AoE, 200 damage across, and everybody 60 losing a bit of his health bar, but CLG gonna have to wait for the next wave now. It's coming through from the bot lane. Wave clear, lifesteal, sticks it back to full HP. Elder Dragon still on for about 30 more seconds. It'll time out after this wave, roughly.
Just got to get that 1 ricochet in.
20 seconds till Shen is back up. Moon gonna knock sheet, get the knockup on a Darshan. Here comes the attack towards his turret. Stixxay putting the attacks into that one. 5v4. Here comes the stuns. Can he get to the back line? No, the shields are simply too high. Not a lot of damage to tell anyway. Now the re-engage short side. They're gonna knock down the Kennen. And now to the back line they go. The shots coming through. A double kill for Stixxay. Make it 3. That's the ace in the game 2 win. Gonna go to Counterlogic Gaming. 1-1 in the series. It seems like it's been longer than 40 minutes, but they win in 39.
Yeah, only 39 minutes, Freak. Can you believe how fast that game was? Anyway, this means we are in for a series.
Yes, we
no
are.
sweep for FlyQuest. They suffer their first loss of the regional qualifier. Who can win this extended best of 5? And also, how do they adapt to that and maintain their composure through all of those delays? Because that was a very long process to finish that game.
Yeah.
CLG did have control for a lot of it, especially as they came back from FlyQuest's early game. And it's going to be very important from the coaching staff to be able to reshape the thinking around that game, figure out where it was actually won and lost, because there was so much ebb and flow throughout that game that eventually led to the CLG victory.
Yeah, a very interesting one. Hard to keep track of all the points of it as well, certainly because of the extended circumstance of this one. I'm sure the VOD watch is going to enjoy skipping through 50 minutes at a time, but it was a fun one, absolutely. Either way, Game 2 did go to Counterlogic Gaming, so now we're going to send it over to our analyst to break down that long-winded win.
Thank you very much, Freak. I mean, a whole lot of craziness unfolded in that game with a couple of pauses, as well as a beautiful start for FlyQuest, the eventual comeback from CLG to even us up at 1-1. Gentlemen, we talked a little bit about Champion Select already during those pauses and how both of these teams this time opting for much more of a 5 versus 5 composition so that it would be the better team that reigns supreme at the end of it.
Yeah, and I think both team comps have like a lot of playmaking in the early game. The Aurelian Soul can get out and influence the lanes. The Shen has the teleport play. The Kennen and Jarvan and Shen can all go bottom. Yeah, Ash Arrow.
To set stuff up.
Yeah, so there's a lot of playmaking on both sides, and you have to tip your cap to FlyQuest for probably out executing CLG in the first, levels 1 through 5, but then they start coming back when 6 and on.
Yeah, and I mean, you've also got to say that despite the fact, we talked a lot about the difference between compositions, right, and how explosive the engage can be from an AP Kennen, with all this dive. One of the things that kind of throws a wrench in the gear of that, as we are going to see in some of these early plays, is just itemization, right? And that's something that I think CLG did really well with triple locket, double exhaust in the late game was very hard for Kennen, but this was some of the good pathing from Moon that we were talking about.
And you were talking about potentially preemptive flashing. It's a really dicey thing because if you don't flash, or if you flash and he doesn't, he can just go for a flash knock-up on the next one. Either way, Huhi saves his flash. Doesn't matter, goes down right there. In a second attempt, this is 2 deaths right away. And like we were saying, you know, 2 kills, 2 CS for Moon.
And this was the critical one for me. Omar God being there after Aphromo had spent some time in that bush as well to defend the dive. Because if you die when you're down that much in farm, it's so devastating. And not only do they turn around the dive, keeping Huhi alive, but he gets the kill. And the kill actually made up for a lot of the gold deficit that had been accrued from farm. So that to me was a turning point in the game, really stabilized Huhi and allowed him to kind of come back in.
And they were able to keep the turret up because it's one of those things where if more FlyQuest members move there after getting that kill, maybe you grab the turret. That's something they did in game 1. They dropped that turret at around 10 minutes and it made it very hard for Fiora to do her job. Same thing could potentially happen with an Aurelion Sol who's behind, now has to sit way far back in his lane to be able to CS.
Yeah, 2 kills on Jarvan, 2 assists on the Kennen, plus a level 5 to a level 3 lead in the mid lane. FlyQuest, in a sense, is going to be kicking themselves for losing this game, as they did have the tools necessary to push that early advantage. It's just one smart play out of CLG in baiting that turret dive, and one overreach from FlyQuest kind of spells disaster. Brings us to a more even state at that midpoint of the game, and that's where we get to this 23-minute Baron fight. CLG 3 for 1 plus the Baron.
Yeah, I mean, this was a point in the game where Darshan was very strong, and the key thing to me was actually that Aphromo checked the bottom brush, making Hai move further back, so even though he had his flash and his proto belt, it didn't get him fully on top of 6A, so 6A with a really quick flash is able to get out of the ultimate and not get stunned, and that means he survives. They don't have enough damage to actually finish off the fight.
Right, Aphro threw a hook, it forced Hai to flash over it, but he didn't want to flash it. He wants to save that flash till he's actually on top of 6A to get that instant stun, and because he was using his mobility early just to get in range, like you're saying, can't actually get that. There were a number of fights kind of like that where they were not able to combo their backline damage. We were talking about if you get the Jarvan knock up with a Shen taunt at the same time.
With the Rakan,
yeah,
with everything.
With anything, and you didn't really need all 4 to be on at the same time, but you need 2, and it felt like a lot of times they didn't quite have the 2 they needed.
Right, already you could see to a degree how difficult it was for them to burst out the backline targets of CLG, but that's where we go back to the point you made early on here, Azael. The smart itemization out of CLG defensively in terms of living through that burst damage so that they could eventually push through the remainder of those team fights.
I mean, Locket, there is a diminishing return on the shield. I believe it's cut in half after the first one, but you have three Lockets at the end of the game. You have double exhaust. 2 of them are Stoneplate Lockets. As long as one of those Stoneplate Locket users is the first guy to do it, that's like 2,500 shield or something like that. And then, oh, the next one's only 1,200. Oh, the next one after that from the support is maybe another 600 or something like that. And still, you have 3,000 to 4,000 worth of shielding on your Ashe. Kennen is only burst. You have almost no sustained damage as an AP Kennen in that fight. And by removing him completely from the fight, it allows these frontliners to then just pressure the Ashe, and it's like you take your Ashe, you pressure Sivir, that's the only one who you have to deal with.
Yeah, it's just really smart to be able to shut down the one win condition FlyQuest kind of had of instant burst in the back line. It's going to be on FlyQuest now to kind of bounce back from this game, just because I thought they had a really good early game plan, but I would be surprised if CLG stick on red side. It doesn't feel like they're getting too much out of it.
CLG moves to blue side. I just received word. So good call on that one.
Yeah. I can follow a trend that's like, hey, we're struggling a lot on red side. Maybe we want to try that first pick J4. So we'll see what they choose to do.
Absolutely, but I do think it is important too to note that while the members on CLG continue to get tanky and provide tankiness to those backline carries, you also have a Cho'Gath that is now capable of absolutely obliterating FlyQuest frontline. You saw it there when they were pushing it on the base. You know, a full tank Shen essentially stands no chance in terms of frontlining for damage.
I mean, Cho'Gath shreds tanked. It's actually pretty insane when you have that many stacks, because each stack increases the percent HP damage of your E on hit. And he had like, what, 12 stacks by the end of the game. You're doing massive amounts of that. They got Shen to about half HP. And Chef, he just dies. It's crazy.
He just died, so it becomes a very much a one-tank composition, if you even can call Jarvan a tank at that point. Easy team fight wins for CLG from that point onward. We're going to step away for a bit. When we return, CLG and FlyQuest go back at it again as the series is tied up. We'll see who can come out ahead in Game 3 after the break.